from Little Rockers Radio here for the Rocking Motherhood Show. We're getting festive with all of these ladies, which I've been looking forward to talking to for a couple of weeks now. We've had it organised. So we've got Alli. I'm going to start from this side. We've got Alli from Motivating Mum, Crazy Nat from Wonderwoman Children First Aid. I'm going to stop saying it. Annie from Mumlife Australia. And Mel from the JERF Project. You might need to lean in a bit.
Yeah. I thought we'd get it sorted.
Yeah. You have to go live before you know what's going to work and what's not going to work. All right, so it's our last live before Christmas. I hope everyone's ready for Christmas. I put up a post a couple of weeks ago saying how completely disorganised I was. And I was so happy to see about 80 people commented to say how disorganised they were as well. So thank you. You made me feel so much better. Now, can I ask each of you, we're all mums, we're all in business, we've all got a couple of kids each, I think.
Yep.
I don't believe in balance. I think it's a bit of BS. But I'd like to know what you guys think of balance, and do you actually believe that it exists?
Does it ever happen?
Does it happen? Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first, Alli? Do you want to tell me?
Yeah, sure. I was like, where do I talk?
Yeah.
It's like here or here?
Yeah, wherever you want.
I'll talk there.
Yeah.
I always say that I think we should actually do away with the term work-life balance, because it's misleading and it sort of makes people believe that there is some, equal ground where you can be achieving everything and be amazing at everything. I think it should be called work-life ebb and flow, because what usually happens is that, sometimes you'll be really, really busy in your business. Sometimes you'll be really, really busy with the kids, and, by understanding that it's work-life ebb and flow, you understand that we have those times where we're really invested in one thing or in the other, and then we're not going to beat ourselves up by not achieving this amazing work-life balance that everyone keeps talking about.
Yeah, but it takes so long to figure that out, I reckon, once you become
Well,
a mum.
I think it's probably because of expectation, because you only have lots of family members around telling you what's to be expected.
Yeah, exactly.
And then all of a sudden you realise it's not that achievable.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah. I don't even strive.
No, absolutely not. No.
Yeah. And if I had it, I'd probably think something was wrong. But anyway.
Well, do you think though the balance comes from how your children are around you? So when your children aren't coping, that the balance needs, the flow needs to come down, the energy needs to come down, and everyone needs to ground, because if everyone's up here, so it's just I that's how I balance it out. Don't always get it perfect, but that's my way.
And I think and this is something you're really passionate about, isn't it, Annie? That strive for perfection, and how we can struggle coming into motherhood with that strive for perfection.
Yeah.
And that's something that you work around in your business as well, isn't it?
That's absolutely right. I think that as women, but particularly mums, we are always striving for perfection, and it just takes the joy out of everything, particularly motherhood. And I think on this topic of balance, I don't even think you can talk about balance without talking about self-care. And it's something as mums, we don't do very well at all. And in fact, when we do it, we usually feel guilty about it. So I'm really passionate about taking the shame out of that. So if it means, having to have your kids sleep with the grandparents for one weekend or a night so that you can go out with some friends to just recharge, because it's about the kids, but it's also about the mums and the dads. But, if you're constantly resenting your family because you're giving everything you have and not getting anything back, that doesn't make for a happy family. So I think this discussion about balance also needs to be a really big discussion about taking care of ourselves. I think that's really important.
And I don't know about you, Annie, but personally for me, and I think we're all in a very lucky position where a lot of our work is our passion and our love, but there's going to be a lot of mums out there where that's not the case. For me, my self-care is putting time and effort into my business. I can only imagine how hard that's going to be when you're working for someone that you don't want to be working for. And how do you find that time for me? It's difficult.
Well, I think that also raises another guilt, because then people are saying to us, we need to make time for us, ourselves. And we're like, so where in the week is that going to actually happen? So it's also to let go of that expectation that, if it's a dressing gown day, and all the kids
It's
are in their
sporting.
dressing
Yeah.
gowns for a morning
Yeah.
tonight, that's the day that it's going to be.
You know, and I say that too. I think we have this expectation that self-care has to be spending 3 hours having lunch with your girlfriend.
Yes.
For me,
No.
some days self-care is having a shower.
Yeah.
That is,
totally.
if I've had a shower, some days that
Totally.
is just a huge achievement.
Yeah.
Or just saying, look, you know what? I'm going to put the kids there in front of the television and I'm going to have this
not
cup
feel
of
guilty.
coffee. Yeah, and that's the thing.
the
That
guilt, isn't
I think that there are two parts of it. It's having that and then being grateful for it, not being guilty.
Yes.
Not being, oh God, I've got to have this cup of coffee. I've got to do this because I need to look after myself, but I feel really bad that the kids are in front of the
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
it's just like, I'm just going to drink this cup of coffee. It's 5 minutes
Yes.
and then I can be a mum.
Yeah.
And that it's once you do that and let go of that expectation that you have to be the perfect mum.
Yes, exactly.
Just be good enough. I don't know. I feel really passionate about that. And once we let go of that, we can actually start to enjoy motherhood.
Yeah. But I think it's about educating your children to a degree as well, because if they're going to think that as a parent you have to give 100%, that's how they're going to live their lives as well. So as a single mum, I was really conscious of always saying to my children, I explained to them about I have a glass of water, and every time I give love to everyone, my glass of water is empty, and at bedtime I fill my glass of water up. But it opened up the conversation for them. How are you going to fill your glasses of water up? So they're initiating self-care from very early on as well.
Which is a very
Important.
good lesson. Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about self-care, we're talking about balance, and now we've just hit school holidays.
It's called holiday care.
Just I went from a wheel here together and we were just like, the kids can be somewhere else. But,
In their room, a quiet.
Sarah has locked her children in their bedroom right now. I'm just letting you know.
This is not a cupboard.
We don't know.
You know me too long. So school holidays, which I have to say, I dread sometimes, because especially the Christmas school holidays, because when you are working, you're obviously, or not even working, when you're a mum and you've got to either try and shuffle your kids off from place to place to keep life going, or you're home with your children all the time. Does anyone have any survival tips?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, go. And we all went silent.
I actually brought this to show everyone. That's January last year. And I actually even now I'm already putting my feelers out to the other mums that are my friends in the different girls' classes and asking them what do they need and what help do they need in January and how can I support them, and then in return, when can they take my children, and this is when I need it, because I really think that at times like these, you do need to, use that it takes a village to raise a child philosophy.
Yeah.
My parents don't live in Melbourne, so I don't have any support there. So, and I really just organise and work with all of my friends to do that and fill up the calendar. Then I also do schedule in time to do things with my kids, so I'm doing that whole balance thing, and I know I'm still looking after them at times as well. And also I do a lot of co-working with my friends. So what I'll do is when I say friends, I mean, all my mums in business that I know, and I'll organise to say we go over to one of their houses and the kids play and I hook into their Wi-Fi and we just sit at the dining room table and work, and vice versa. So I do a lot of that. Yeah. And then I just make sure it's all planned out and organised. I know it's really annoying and painful having to plan, but I'll tell you what, it saves me at the end.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
I think, though, importantly, it's good to mention, I found when I was raising the children, I felt bad for not spending time with them. So every time I did hook up time with my children, I overcompensated. I had to take them to the movies and I had to do this fun activity. But I think we find naturally ourselves going, I have to be that mum that's going to do these million things because I feel bad I haven't spent that time with them. And I think it's just little things like flower picking. Like my girls love going and picking flowers, or even just sitting on the floor for 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be that overspending and really going overboard. I think it's important to know that.
Absolutely.
And you run out of money. Like
Yeah.
with the kids.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
And nothing's cheap these
No,
days.
no,
Go to the
absolutely
movies.
not.
It's insane.
Yeah.
The way in which I've got a teenager and then Pearl's 9, But my teenager, because we have screen rules in the house, and especially with school holidays, and I feel like if there is too much screen time, that's when they turn into monsters. So we have a rule that I sort of do it in the, because I like everything to calm down over Christmas holidays. I want everyone's energy to calm down. But the rules are that they can have screen till 10, but they have to also do an hour of reading. They have to do an hour of exercise, whether it is going down to play basketball or... And so you set a rhythm for the day. So even if you aren't always going out everywhere, there's a rhythm, and they know the boundaries. And the screen doesn't come on till 5:30 at night. And then... I mean, initially there was a lot of grinding, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then all of a sudden they find the peace of this is not going to change. This is and during the year, not school holidays, we don't have screen Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
That's cool.
And then I don't have to fight. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
it's more freedom.
Yeah.
See, if I set screen time starting at 10 o'clock in the morning in the school holidays, my kids would be up at 3 a.m.
Yes.
start
Maybe then you go okay, 7.
And it's not that I mean, they don't sit down and do. They're up doing the rules.
They're active.
Screen time. It's the connect, like the sports things, because they are a bit older. But it's still in front of the screen. Like it's still sunny outside.
Oh, and so that's what annoys me. But I sort of feel the year is so intense with activities. I just feel like the energy.
It's quiet time.
So it's the balance. Give them some.
Well, today was day one of the school holidays for us, and Grace said to me today, I want to bake something. So I was like, all right, let's go over the road. We'll buy a packet mix of something, sweetheart. Because I've got nothing.
I like how you look at me.
Because it came with guilt, because Mel is from the JERF Project, which is Just Eat Real Food, and her recipes are divine. I'm actually really annoyed you didn't bring anything for us to snack on today. So have you got some ideas for, and all of your food is generally for people with gluten and dairy and all those sorts of intolerances. And we might post some links here afterwards, but like school holiday activities, cooking is a great one.
Do you know, there was a couple of things I was going to talk about, and just to get, although I am the JERF Project, my husband is the magician in the food. My background is nutrition, so that's what my passion is. I think what we do is there is the cooking, but also we start complicating things, and we think that we have to get the oven out and the kitchen has to explode. And what I love, especially with the summer holidays, is fresh. So do cut up your platters, but instead of buying that, I won't mention names, but a hazelnut spread full of sugar, you can actually... So your children aren't jumping out of their head, is you can actually get your children... It's actually easy to make a hazelnut spread, chocolate spread. Okay. So it's roasting almonds, and most people, I assume, have blenders or a NutriBullet. And it's literally... And it's like making chocolate spreads or strawberry spreads. And you don't have to add sugar. You can actually add a date to it, which will sweeten it for them. I mean, some kids, if their palate is used to sugar, then there is a transition. But xylitol's a good one. Xylitol's an excellent one for transition, and you might use a little bit more to begin with and bring it back. But hazelnuts, raw cacao, coconut oil, you put it into a blender and it makes a beautiful but make sure you roast the hazelnuts. I also think people get so caught up that the traditional way of baking, if you are wanting to do a healthier version, is actually understanding the different ways of sweetening foods, the different foods. Instead of using cream, you can use coconut oil, coconut cream, but just actually transfer them into your Christmas recipes. So your coconut ice. So you can be using coconut and coconut oil instead of all like the sugar, the high sugar volume.
And we might pop some of those recipes and some links or reminders anyway, because she just said it all and it's
Yeah.
for me.
Well,
So,
also just fresh produce,
Yes.
fresh berries,
Yeah.
stone fruit at the moment. You can't, like, literally, it's yummy in itself.
yeah, and see, I think, when they say they want to cook, I think, we've got to bake muffins or something.
Yes.
But chopping up fruit, I mean, the kids love just to chop food if they're old enough, obviously. But
Yeah.
chopping up the fruit and using the skewers and all of those sorts of things.
Well, have you seen the chocolate fountain in they're $12, but you can actually make healthy chocolate, and they can be just dunking their strawberries in the fountain. Anyway.
Yeah. Now, I want to change track just slightly. Alli is from, as I said at the beginning, from Motivating Mums. So she's got this amazing network of mums in business, and that's how I know her, because I go to her networking groups. And she had her Christmas party a month ago, and your speech was very inspiring because it was all about...
I don't remember what I said now.
It was all about what success means to you, and then also obviously to us, because when we think of success, we think of, some of the things we've spoken about. Well, is my life balanced? Do I have money? Do I have all these things? So I wondered whether you wouldn't mind just going over what your definition of success was again.
Yeah, as in like what the speech.
What the speech was.
Right,
yeah.
No pressure.
I will clarify, I did ad-lib that speech on the night. I didn't actually write it or plan it. So I'll kind of reach back into the recesses of my mind and try and find it. But no, basically the crux of it is that, like Sarah said, I run my business mums clubs. They run monthly. There's about 17 in Melbourne alone. So I go to a hell of a lot of clubs all through the year. And one of the things that really strikes me on an ongoing basis is the number of mums that are coming that are like stressed or upset or depressed, and we do often have crying as well. And most of the time those reasons are because these mums have set themselves like such high expectations and such goals for themselves, and a lot of the time it's these goals and expectations have not come about because they've actually sat down and actually really thought about what success means to them and what they want to achieve. But what they've actually done is kind of like, and I'm sure other people here are the same, is you kind of have a baby or have kids or whatever, you have this idea and you kind of jump into business, but you don't really think about it that much. And so you can get caught up in what everyone else's idea of success is, and, what the world thinks achieving is. And, whenever you see those speakers that are like the queen of this or the king of that, they're all talking about how you can make millions and you can make money while you're sleeping on the beach and all the rest of it. And people keep perpetuating this idea that is the goal for everyone in the world. And what I just really wanted to drive home to my mums that night was that you really need to think about what success is for you. And if you really are running a business because you want to be there for your kids, and therefore you're only going to work 20 hours a week, you're probably not going to be a millionaire. You're probably not going to be the best in your field or anything like that. But to go into it knowing that's what you want to achieve and then being there for your kids, that is the definition of success. You might want to be the best in your field, and that's amazing. So, but, be aware of that and go for it. And then when you achieve it,
absolutely,
pat yourself on the back. Or, your goal, all you might need to do is just bring in $100 a week that gets put towards a family holiday. You don't have that pressure maybe to be making lots of money because maybe your partner does, or you're, financially well off in some other way. So again, that's the definition of success. And I think a lot of the time we just get so caught up in what everyone else is doing and trying to keep up with everyone else. You just have to remind yourself from time to time what success is for you.
Yes, absolutely.
And it sounds so simple, but when you said that speech at the Christmas party, it really resonated with me. I was like, I've been running around trying to be... not someone I'm not, but trying to achieve these really high expectations that I've set for myself. Yeah. And actually, and looking back on the year thinking, it hasn't been a success because I set my levels so high. Now I was like, actually, it kind of just made me relook at it and change. And so going on from that, I've now been looking obviously at 2017,
Yeah.
which brings us on to New Year's resolutions and goals for next year. And I'm keen to know, because some people just don't set New Year's resolutions at all. Do you guys, do you set?
No.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore. No.
On a personal level, we do it as a family. So, and it's not resolutions. I did it with my stepdaughter, because I've got a 29-year-old stepdaughter, and we started it off with her when she was a teenager, purely because when you're a teen, and that's what your family is you actually might need to find out what your child's goals are. What do they want to? But also then them giving back to you. So then they start understanding what you're wanting to do for that year. So we would spend an afternoon where we would talk about, okay, what do we want to do, and how would you like me to support you doing that? So we write it down, and everyone would have their goals that they would write down. But it doesn't. When Pearl was say 3 or 4. She wasn't interacting with it, but she was listening. And every year they get to know that's what we do. So now she does interact with it, and they get more serious in their world.
Yeah.
As much as I respect goal making, and I definitely value it. I think we're in a goal-making society, and I think sometimes we look too much in the future. We're meant to be doing this. We've got to have this. We've got to have that. And like I said, I am a massive goal maker, but I'm really conscious that you really do have to just live in the moment as well, I think. And all of us are making so many goals. My kid's going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and my partner's going to do this. And at the same time, that's why I don't set, those massive goals, because it's essentially just those everyday things that you do with family.
It doesn't necessarily have to be big goals.
No,
a goal might not be the right word, but it might actually be.
I love that. I love what you're doing, but I still think that we're in such a society where it's always forward, or we're thinking about backwards, what happened to us, and how we need to move forward and heal from that. And sometimes we just have to be in the moment. And I feel like we lack that.
And this isn't really a New Year's resolution, but I was going to ask Annie about it, which you've already touched on anyway. But people have asked me in the past, a couple of friends who have had babies recently, what's the one recommendation that I have for them, and my answer is to lower your standards. Yes. Which is probably my only New Year's resolution, just to continue to lower my standards.
It's true.
It's probably the only New Year's resolution you'll ever actually achieve.
I find there's so much pressure when we start this new year to have these great big New Year's resolutions, and we put so much pressure on ourselves throughout the year to just exist. Like, I think about the mum at home who's got maybe a 3-month-old child who is up through the night, has a crying baby all day long. Her goal is to just get up every morning. My kids are older than 3 months, and that's still my goal. But I just think that sometimes we just have to step back and just recognise that, and I say this to mums all the time, that perfect is not the standard. We have to let that go. Just turning up sometimes, and actually, no, I take that back. Just turning up is good enough. And I don't mean to say that we should just let our kids do whatever they want, and a house, piles of laundry everywhere, although I will admit there are piles of laundry in my house waiting for me. But I just mean that we just kind of have to take that pressure off ourselves, because what Mumlife Australia is all about, our mission is all about, is empowering mums to feel confident and capable so that they can enjoy motherhood. And with Instagram and Facebook and all of this, there is just it's like the keeping up with the Joneses. It's not just business, it's mums and families, and I'm sure it's dads too, but it's just this pressure that we put on ourselves to always look perfect, have a perfect house, to have the perfect kids, to have a lot of money, and this and this and this and this. And how can you, I found, and I only say this because I've been through the entire spectrum. I was there. That's where I was, and I'm on the other end. And I can just say that there is just so much joy to be found when you take that pressure off yourself. It's amazing that it actually feels like, wow, I can actually breathe when I just let go, that I don't have to be the perfect businesswoman. I don't have to be the perfect mum. And guess what? I'm not the perfect wife. And that's totally cool, because I am good enough and I'm doing my best, and that's all that matters. That is totally, and that's, I guess, I don't do New Year's resolutions anymore because of that. And I guess if you think about what I want from the year, I want to be happy. I want to make memories with my children. I want to set family values about being kind and compassionate, and I want them to be driven. I came from a corporate background. You know, I've worked in years in big professional organisations, so I'm not saying that that's not right. I'm just saying that we just need to kind of rebalance, like tip those scales back from the filters that we see on Instagram and, you know, the mothers groups where you turn up and you're so afraid to tell anyone that you're struggling because you think that everyone else is doing so well. So that's
Love it.
what I
Actually,
love.
fun to do a feed on the radio. On one of the lives, or some photos of mums in their bad days. And take photos rather than these perfect shots of, I'm the best mother in the world. I'm having a good day. And look at the masses of my laundry today.
You know what? And the funny thing is, those days, the hellish days, the days where you have the bad hair and you don't wear any makeup and you've got stains all over you, they are the days.
That's exactly
The days when I'm dressed like this is not the day. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't it. This is not what you should strive to be. To strive to get up, raise happy, kind kids, and that's it. That's
well, since last week, I've been trying to get my regrowth done. And I'm a hairdresser. My past life, I'm a hairdresser, and I still haven't got my regrowth
Excellent,
done.
babe. Excellent. That's the end thing.
Regrowth.
But isn't all of that a part, and I don't know, you might disagree with me, but isn't that all a part of actually letting go of what other people think of you, rather than the pressure you put on yourself? It's stopping caring what other people think. Which is very hard to do.
And probably also what you thought yourself to be. You know, before we become a parent, we're always perfect parents, and then we become a parent, we're like, oh my gosh, am I doing this wrong? You know, we have that. Well before, ever since I was 13, I'm like, I'm going to be this, and I'm going to have a 2-story house and dreamy little husband, you know. I was building it up since I was a little girl. Thanks, Disney, by the way, for that one. But it's true. We build it up. And then we finally have kids, and we're like, what? You know, there's no Aladdin.
I remember talking to you about that. I think, you know, it's that.
Yeah.
And it's also that we're having kids so much later in life.
Yes.
As we have kids so much later in life, we've had so much of that success. And we expect that to continue. I've worked hard my entire life and I've been rewarded with so much success. I've climbed the ladder and people respect me and I have money, and so I expect that to reflect in my parenting. And it doesn't. It just doesn't, because that's not what parenting is about. So I find that as women are starting to have children later in life, they're more successful. They're expecting to have that same success with being a parent. And I think we're all successful as parents, but what we think is success as a parent, pre-parenting, is totally different to what the success of parenting really is.
And I think as I work with some young mums now, they're like, I'm so young, I'm going to be a terrible mum. I'm like, some of the best mums I've seen could be a little bit more flexible and easygoing. So high five to the young mums. You're doing well too. You know, it's hard for them, especially as we get older, you know, having children older, they feel like they're the odd bods because they're young, you know. You can certainly learn a thing or two.
And talking about learnings, I think the perfect way to finish off this live, going into the holidays, is with some, as I said, Nat is from Wonderwoman Children First Aid. So to finish off, and if you haven't yet watched, hop on after this, of course, hop on and have a look at the choking video that Nat and I have popped up, which is perfect because Christmas Day, there's presents opened everywhere. There's, you know, not even just children that are eating, but children that are picking up little things off the ground. And there's a great demonstration by Nat for First Aid, and of me gagging.
Yes.
Thanks very much, Nat.
Watch out for that one.
So just before we finish,
So Sarah gave me the heads up. She threw me a text about an hour ago. No, she gave me more notice. So you need to do something on safety tips. Look, I don't want to drown you out with any sort of safety and first aid lessons. You know, that's what I'm all about. But I think the one conversation I always have with people is, as much as I love safety prevention and first aid, I'm also really knowing that it can't always be a controlled situation. So I said to someone the other day, it's safety versus sanity, and we just have to make those decisions. So I decided to talk about 3 things today. The first things, and they're a little bit off, so I'm going to get you thinking about things a little bit. The worst drowning situation I've heard was at a Christmas party where there was lots of family members, and it was one of those shell sand pits filled with water. And
which we all have at home.
Yes. This little boy actually drowned in the little pool. But what happened is the mum left and said, I've got to go grab something from the shop. Can everyone keep an eye on him? And I must say, I've been at fault of that before when, you know, you think there's so many family members around, you're like, can everyone just keep an eye on them? Big boo-boo, because no one is keeping an eye rely on them. It's always good to allocate one person to supervise your child if that's going to be a situation. Because as much as there's 50 adults around, there's lots of wine flowing. Okay. The second thing, talking about supervision and being aware of things, is I heard this story. It was a drowning one again. Obviously, I'm pretty passionate about it. But with lots of older cousins coming around, we tend to go, would you mind keeping an eye on your younger cousin? Okay, so I've seen it all the time at the pool. You're a pretty good swimmer. Keep an eye on the young ones, right? Come on, old kids, you better do this. I heard a story when one of the kids actually drowned, and whose back is that on? Okay, that's the oldest siblings thing that they're going to take with them for the rest of their lives. Yeah. So look, we've all been there. We've had all the older cousins around, and we want them to keep an eye on the younger cousins, but be really mindful if something was to happen. Are they really responsible enough to carry that burden with them for the rest of their lives? The third thing, which we had to talk about before, is how crazy is Christmas? It's definitely different parenting opinions come into role, but it also comes into role with safety. So I'm pretty strict on safety, as much as I know everyone's a little bit different, and I've definitely been in debates with family members over what they're comfortable doing and what I'm comfortable doing. Always trust your instinct, okay? And if there isn't going to be ever a circumstance where there's 30 members going, no, we're all good with this, we're fine with this, try and make an unsafe situation as safe as possible, right? And I think that's really important, is to always trust your gut instinct. It's all about supervision over the Christmas holidays. Have fun, but we know a lot of the tragic situations do happen when we're all kind of let our guard down a little bit. Going on a holiday, make sure you talk about pool safety. If you're going out in the sun, think about your sun safety. If you're drinking lots, make sure you drink water. Dehydration is quite a big factor. I don't know why Sarah entered this on first day, because I feel like this just got really sad and horrible. I feel like, does anyone have a positive story to share right now? Sarah,
I do.
Sarah's been asking all the questions, so we should turn to Sarah for a positive story.
I do. It's 4 days till Christmas.
Which is positive if you've done. That's a positive story if you've done your Christmas shopping. If you haven't Christmas shopping like me, not so positive.
Not so.
Anyway.
Well, I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, a happy
Merry Christmas, everyone.
And thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.